Did you sleep here last night?
Of course. How else could I care for you?
After the conclusion of an impressive Athletics Kenya Cross-Country Championships, Team Kenya now sets her sight on the 44th edition of the Global Showpiece, the World Athletics Cross-Country Championships Bathurst 23 in Australia. Lined up for the titles is Kenya's contingent of 30 world beaters, ready to contest with more than 550 athletes from over 60 nations. Enjoy these spectacular races from Bathurst, Australia on Saturday, 18 February 2023, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Nisa hii ndio unarudi? Mbona unapenda kucheza na kazi?
Madam, sina gari.
Hauna gari? Oh, hiyo ni kumaanisha sasa unataka ni kununulia gari pia? All you have to do is call one of your friends and I'm sure our boy will be home.
Si rahisi.
You better get my boy back home or I swear to God.
Kisima Drops is back in business. Hakuna poison kwa maji yetu, tuko sawa.
Mtoe wa mdosi ndio alijaribu kumuua.
Melissa, oh my God.
Imanishi nilijaribu kumuua.
Basi jaribu kukumbuka basi.
Kuna dhani nimekuwa nikifanya nini yote yote hapa?
Exactly 17 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for us to quickly unpack what the dailies are holding for you this Wednesday morning. I start you off very quickly with a copy of the Daily Nation. KCP scandal is the flag on this particular daily, just citing what is happening in the education system, where parents are now colluding with teachers to register grade 7 students for the final primary school examination under the 844 system. And this, they say, is because they do not have confidence in the CBC system. It's a matter that was unpacked there by the ministry, but much as some parents are saying that they do not have so much confidence in the CBC system, citing the pitfalls, the challenges. Also, a survey was conducted which actually indicated that citizens holistically prefer the CBC system over the 844 by a margin of 9%. However, the challenges facing the CBC is its financial cost. At a time demanding on the parents, the main challenge proposed by citizens to the CBC also in regards to that cost was to reduce the financial cost, particularly on burden. You remember the ministry had talked about a 15,000 capitation, which was supposed to specifically go to public school students. But the rumble question had been, what about private students? So this is some of those things that is coming out. Also, the fact that it's quite involving, particularly on the parents' side. Still sticking a bit with education matters, 10,000 teachers set to be sent to JSS next week. And this is in regards to those 30,000 teachers that were recruited early this year. And so as it stands, 10,000 are set to be sent to some junior secondary schools there. Given the fact that since JSS was opened on 30th of January, there had been a bit of concerns on the fact that children are in school or students are in schools, but there are no teachers. And the ministry had also categorically said that they're looking into how best to quickly deploy teachers so that also, students don't really be in school just by themselves with no teachers. Also, Ruto says the church to be central in national affairs, where the president now says the church will be at the center of the nation's affair as he leads the country in prayers for rain following the prolonged drought. This is what happened yesterday. And also this particular faction has been very vocal on the interdenominational Sunday meetings that have been happening in different parts of the counties across the country there. And lastly, KDF boots hit the ground in battle against bandit menace. We did see the IG there making his way to some parts of the north yesterday as the joint military and police operation got underway. Tension was high in the targeted areas with some residents fleeing their home, and also part of what the CS Interior has said is that it's not within the preserve of parliaments to see how best they can deploy KDF, and this also comes after that Gazette notice which was done by the defense minister there. And what the ministry also said is that the KDF is just going to act as a boost, but the police are still at the center stage as far as securing the north is concerned. Before I take you quickly through the People Daily, Ram, yes, what do you have on your end?
Yes, those are quite interesting headlines, because also on my end, matters concerning politics are highlighted on the Star newspaper and the Standard newspaper. Murathe Kioni ejection sealed. That's on the Standard newspaper. Murathe Kioni ejection sealed by upholding last week's Jubilee National Executive Committee meeting. The registrar of political parties effectively sealed the fate of former Ndaragwa Member of Parliament Jeremiah Kioni and ex-Gatanga Member of Parliament David Murathe, who were suspended as Secretary General and Vice Chairman, respectively. That's on the front page of the People Daily. And just to touch on that particular story there, the storm in the Jubilee Party took an unexpected turn yesterday. And this was after the registrar of political parties upheld last week's leadership changes. In a letter, the registrar of political parties, Anne Nderitu, said that the Jubilee National Executive Council meeting held in Nakuru on February 10th adhered to the party's constitution and was thus properly convened. Now, the communication by the arbiter of political party affairs, fans and flames of revolution in former President Uhuru Kenyatta's party and scuttles attempts by embattled leaders to kick out some of its members who have aligned themselves with President William Ruto. And of course, even as the RPP ratifies his removal from office, Jeremiah Kioni insists that the officials are forcing Uhuru to work with Ruto by taking his party to him. The registrar of political parties, remember, says that the NEC meeting in Nakuru that was held on February 10th was properly convened, but the RPP cautions about the exit from Azimio, insists it must follow the provisions of the coalition agreement. That is what is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. That is the same issue concerning political parties that is on the front page of the Star. Uhuru on verge of losing Jubilee to Ruto. It would be a sweet victory for the president, one of the brains behind the once vibrant party. That is on the Star newspaper. Double blow, why Uhuru risks losing Jubilee to Ruto. That is what is in the headlines today. Why Uhuru risks losing Jubilee to Ruto. That is what is on the Star newspaper. Now you see, former President Uhuru Kenyatta is on the verge of suffering yet another political party, according to the Star, in the hands of his successor, President William Ruto, as their political duel takes a new twist. Now, barely 6 months after his candidature, that is Raila Odinga, lost the presidential race to Ruto, Uhuru now risks losing his Jubilee party to the president. You see that's on the front page of the Star newspaper there. A very interesting story there, because according to Nderitu addressed the letter to the Jubilee Deputy Secretary General Joshua Kutunyi, who convened the NEC meeting alongside Chairman Nelson Nzuya in Nakuru last week. Of course, we shall be keeping an eye on that particular matter in a bit. But now let's head over to the Standard newspaper, still on the front page. Yesterday we had national prayers that were held. President Ruto's prayer for Kenya. That is on the front page of the Standard. President Ruto's prayer for Kenya. You can see pictured on that particular page there. President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, together with their spouses, as they were praying during the National Solemn Assembly at the Nyayo National Stadium that took place in Nairobi yesterday. And still on the front page of the Standard turns on the charm of Valentine's Day. That's on the front page of the Standard. Standard turns on the charm on Valentine's Day. What is that all about? And of course, many Kenyans celebrated Valentine's yesterday. And today I asked this particular question. Valentine's is over. What next? That's the question that's Doreen. What next? Yeah, back to default settings.
That's why we said Valentine's is not a one-day affair. It's exactly. An ongoing, so that you remove the pressure on just this one specific day. Because now, what next?
What next?
Back to default setting.
You can see there are tough economic times. High cost of living dampen Valentine's mood.
And I'm seeing actually that particular story on almost every day. It looks like it was not one of those easy things to do, given the economic times we are in as a country.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to show love also.
Of course we have to show love. And one thing that I believe in, Valentine's is not just something that we need to take lightly.
Yes, and you really had a very good discussion yesterday in studio, because also just going by what those guests were saying really agrees well with what you're saying. Don't take it lightly, but I'm also from the school of thought that do it daily, so that this one particular day does not put pressure into you. Look at also what the dailies are covering. Yeah. Tough economic times. And some people are saying that for those actually who went to even get gifts for almost the first time, they were saying they are really surprised at actually how much the flowers cost. And yesterday we were also in the streets, and the cost is not.
I saw you with a flower vendor yesterday.
Oh yes, we were.
Did she give you the estimates of the price ranges for flowers?
It's quite costly. In fact, even as we're having that particular conversation, she got an alert, and she was telling me that some good money had entered, her phone, just purchasing 2 bouquets of flowers. Over 20,000, you can imagine. That's why we're saying celebrate it daily. You don't want the dailies to be splashing the tough economic times just because of a single day. Yes.
So that is what I have here so far. Of course, not every Kenyan celebrated Valentine's.
Yes, also that's the thing.
There are those who did not have money.
There are those who did not have.
Let's over to the people daily.
But kidogo tu uko nacho goes a long way.
Yeah.
All right, the People Daily also equally has, education matters, issues with trouble with the North. In fact, the flag on this particular daily is Teacher Service Commission to promote 36,000 teachers, where commission needs 2 billion to move beneficiaries a grade higher in race to improve teaching in grade 7. Actually, yesterday they were before the Education Committee in Parliament just to explain some of these things, why they will need that extra amount, and also issues of NHIF as far as teachers is concerned equally did come to the fore. But you remember that also this was in a bid of that particular plan when it came to boosting, teachers as far as the 30,000 teachers is concerned, that recruitment process. And so aside from that, they're also looking into upgrading or upscaling as far as promoting teachers there is concerned. This story is tucked away in page 4 all the way through 6 of the People Daily. And also North Rift puts under 30-day curfew in war on bandits. I did tell you that this is a story that has actually been covered in almost every daily, and this is in regards to what is happening in our country as far as insecurity issues is concerned. We did see the Inspector General Japheth Koome make his way there. Also, there were talks of perhaps having the Interior CS, that is Kithure Kindiki, pitch camp in some parts of the northern part of the country just to see how best they can reduce this banditry attack in areas of Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Samburu, Turkana, Laikipia, some of these areas whereby banditry is quite prone. We have seen KDF being deployed as well. There's also that issue that the president did talk about, that surrendering of illegal firearms within 3 days. That is the ultimatum that the president did give. But Ram, when you look at this issue of insecurity in the north, there's really quite a lot that is coming out. When you look at issues of culture, resources, you're also saying that resources, development in that area, because there had been concerns that the much that particularly children, because we had issues of children as young as 10, 11, 12, they are in possession of firearms, and not just any kind of firearm, very sophisticated kind of firearms. And so there was that question of lack of proper development in the area, issues of culture, education, resources. But again, the other big issue was that even you look at these measures that have been employed by the state, and we repeating the same measures.
There are so many things that need to be looked on this particular matter.
As far as securing the north is concerned?
Yeah, exactly. And if you look keenly on the state of affairs, especially economically, for the people who are staying in that particular area, many people closed shop.
Yes.
Many people. And there were women who were crying, you know what, it's high time we had the security officers come and put a stop to everything, because they closed shop, they have nowhere to go, and there are no businesses to run.
Nothing is happening in these areas.
One man even said that this move is long overdue.
Yeah, actually, I did hear that it's long overdue. But I'm still conflicted on this part, and I hope perhaps this time we're really going to be getting some fruits out of this, because when you look at these measures, regimes have done the same, and Victor is going to be having a very candid discussion there with Governor of Trans Nzoia Natembeya, and he has been very vocal as far as insecurity issues is concerned, particularly in the last 3 days, and he did really make some revelations there that you'll actually wonder, these people are just within, our midst. At the end of the day, they're actually leaders who, as he said, there's some leaders who perpetrate this vice. And some of them are even known. So then you'd wonder, if the problem is known, why are we struggling to get a solution? Because the biggest impediment of a solution is not knowing what the root cause is. But now you know what the issue is. Why is it really becoming difficult?
Economic manipulation, in my view.
It's a big issue.
Economic manipulation. If you can manipulate something and it suits your economic desires, then they go for it. But we need to put a stop to it. I'm glad that yesterday we have the IG who went physically to that particular area.
On
but
ground.
Then you still ask the question, what makes it different?
What makes it different? We'd have to, because again, also one thing that really came to the fore is the fact that when you look at the state deploying this apparatus, security measures, looking at KDF, as you said, IG is already on ground there. There had also been concern that Governor Natembeya proffered, just I think it was 2 days ago, speaking to a local media house, whereby he said that when you look at these apparatus that have been sent by the state, there might be those who might just go ahead and try to, how should I put it, stage manage. It's like the police are attacking them. They're going to be stage management of even just women wailing, saying that they're being raped, their businesses are being scaffolded, just so that the state can do away with this security apparatus, so that then this vice can continue. And it baffles me, because we need to get a solution.
The question is, who is benefiting from this?
That's the biggest question.
Who's benefiting? We need to.
Victor has to put this to the governor there, because he is so big on security matters, given the fact that also he was the former regional commissioner of Rift Valley.
And
who's benefiting from all this?
Sadly, even on the Star newspaper, on the third page of this particular paper, 3 police in the headlines there, 3 police officers killed as vehicle hits IED in Garissa.
You can imagine.
Condolences to the families. And of course, if you look at this particular story, it says 3 police officers died yesterday after their vehicle ran over an improvised explosive device in Garissa County. The incident happened in Alango Arba area near Saretho, when a speeding vehicle carrying personnel from the border patrol unit was hit. 6 other officers were seriously injured. The Dadaab Deputy County Commissioner Kirui Siele confirmed the morning incident, and the injured were taken to the local hospital for attention. A very sad state of affairs as we look at the fight against banditry, because on that particular same page, we have a caricature on what you're talking about there. On the Star, a caricature, very interesting indeed. We have, this is...
that's on the Star.
On the Star, a man is seen holding a bull by the horns.
Literally.
You may think it's a proverb, but it's actually literally holding the bull by the horns. And the bull is called banditry.
Yes.
Written on that particular caricature. I don't know if you have it on your screen, but one of the director. If you can get it, you can bring it up so that our viewers can see it. But if not, I will still describe it. There is this man who is holding the bull by the horns, written there on that particular caricature, Natembeya taking the bull by the horn.
Literally.
Literally. Will he manage to put down this bull?
But as we are saying, we need to really do get a lasting solution to the issues of banditry in the north, the insecurity issues in the north, because again, you'd also listen to some good leaders within that area. They would say even just getting development projects, construction of roads, they literally have to put police to man construction of roads. They literally have to put, if it's the defense forces, that by the time they are doing a development project of some sort, if it's construction of a dam, if it's construction of a road, you can just imagine a simple constituent road. You really have to put police to man that just because of the ongoing insecurity issues. So even if you talk about developing that area, looks like it's a bit a tussle to some of these leaders, members of parliament.
Exactly.
So really, we need to get a lasting solution to that. I'm also seeing something quite interesting here. 6 ASAL counties set to gain from 800 kilometers of roads at cost of 9 billion. We are talking about the ASAL counties. These are counties that have been ravaged, very heavily by drought, and that's why we really had the prayers yesterday at the Nyayo National Stadium, Ram, to just pray for the country. I mean, you're talking about a drought that has, befallen us since the last 40 years. I'm meant to understand that the last one we had at such a time as this, the last one we had, which was equivalent to what you're currently having, was in the year 1984, 85, thereabout. So it's been really quite a while since we really had the kind of drought that we're having. But also, the biggest issues coming to the fore is that why can't we move from rain-fed agriculture? Look for other mechanisms, because when you look at these ASAL counties, counties that you wouldn't even imagine, Meru.
And for the sake of our viewers, if at all you do not understand what ASAL countries are, we are looking at counties, ASAL countries, the arid and semi-arid lands.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, arid and semi-arid lands. You're talking about Meru.
Counties that you wouldn't even see them getting to this bracket.
I wouldn't have expected that it would fall. I don't know much about Meru, but what I know is that as a nation, we need to apply agriculture. How can we infuse technology in our agricultural systems?
Exactly.
To
we
boost
move away
it up
from the rain-fed kind of agriculture.
And if you look at the country right now, we have the ability to go that path. We can go that path, and it is possible. We can feed our own people without importing.
Without importing. And we are actually even mulling over that, without importing, because what did the Met Department say? That brace yourself, like in the next 3.5 months, what you're seeing as far as dry lands and dry areas, that is what we are sort of like expecting as a country. But again, there's something that's really come to the fore, and it just beats my logic sometimes. When you look at the developed countries, we have over time talked about how we only contribute as an African continent, or countries within the African bloc, just about 3 to 5% as far as these emissions are concerned. Because when you look at the drought that you're facing, this has emanated from the fossil fuels largely, and this normally comes from the West, the developed countries. They really do emit quite a lot compared to us, the African countries. But look at who's really bearing the brunt of this. The African bloc, Kenya, Somalia, these are the countries.
And that's why, sorry to cut you short, but just to remind you of one particular event, we've had discussions around climate change.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Kenya has been at the forefront when it comes to this particular area. And I'm glad that the government that has made pacts with other countries outside, including the United Kingdom, in regards to discussing matters concerning climate change and bringing, a wholesome solution towards Kenyan problems. So the question is, how soon will we
Such a good question.
Solutions? Because one thing that I know of is April is coming.
Yes.
The long rains will be there.
How are you sure it will be there? Because
I am sure.
You are sure?
I am
this
sure.
This is now operating on faith.
I do not need the weatherman to know that.
This is now you operating on faith, not on what the weatherman has told us.
I don't need the weatherman to know to let me know about that. I am sure that this April we will experience long rains. But the only question is, how intense will it be?
Yes.
Considering climate change.
Yeah.
That's my only worry. How
to help
intense
us
will it be?
salvage the situation.
Exactly.
And what you're currently grappling. But again, there's really one thing you're raising, and that's a very good question, Ram, that how soon? Because the other issue we've been dealing with, especially as the 3 African countries that really are bearing the brunt of this drought, is for the developed countries to honor their pledge of the contribution, assisting the African countries, because there's some amount they're supposed to give on an annual basis to help African countries just manage as far as food security is concerned. So then also how best they can honor that pledge to assist good number of these African countries who are really reeling with this drought issues. But again, also much as we await on that, e-agriculture should be the way to go.
That's why,
as you say.
Yesterday we were having prayers.
Yes. At Nyayo Stadium.
Yeah, and we're praying for the country so that we can get rains back and we can bring ourselves back to normalcy.
Yeah.
If possible. Is it going to be a conversation that we all need to have? Do we need spiritual interventions?
That's another thing.
Or scientific interventions?
Very good question. Or do we need both? Do we need to just bring both?
Do we fuse both?
Because again, also, when you listen to, if my memory serves me correct, whether the president or the deputy president did say that these interdenominational meetings, actually it was the deputy president, DP Gachagua, they are going to be happening every Sunday, because there are concerns of why are we focusing on the spiritual, as you say, yet we need to get practical solutions to our problem, especially as far as food security is concerned. But that's why you're asking, do we need the spiritual or the scientific? I think all, bring them all together as long as we get a solution to our problems.
Because as we were having prayers at Nyayo Stadium, some parliamentarians were...
Actually, yeah, they were in parliament trying to...
arguing, chasing people away from parliament, and it puts to question, how intense can we be as a country when it comes to seeking solutions?
Exactly. I hear you.
Are our solutions going to work, or are we just having, things that blinding our eye?
Just for the sake
from the
of
face
it.
value.
Yes, that's another thing.
And that is what has also taken center stage on the Star newspaper. Still, let me head over to matters concerning the medical cover. Okay. Covered by the Star on the front page there. We have lawmakers poke holes in teachers' medical cover.
I've actually seen that on the People Daily as well.
So it's on the People Daily.
Yes,
right?
yes.
MPs have raised questions over the multi-billion teachers insurance cover, demanding a raft of radical changes in the health scheme. The MPs yesterday said there are a number of shortcomings they believe have made the cover ineffective in ensuring proper medication of teachers. Now, amongst the issues the lawmakers raised include 100 shillings co-pay charged on tutors when they seek medication. That's what's covered on the Star newspaper. Let me get into that particular story there, where it is in the headlines today. MPs poke holes in teachers' medical insurance. Of course, written on that particular paper there, MPs have raised questions over the multi-billion teachers insurance cover, demanding a raft of medical changes in the health scheme for the teachers. The MPs yesterday said that there are a number of shortcomings they believe have made the cover ineffective in ensuring proper medication of to teachers. Among the issues we are looking at, as I mentioned earlier, there is includes a 100 shillings co-pay charged on tutors when they seek medication, long authorization period, and having an intermediary at the center of all emergency referrals under the scheme. The National Education Committee on Tuesday, that is yesterday, they demanded for the scrapping of the 100 shillings paid by teachers every time they seek medication. The question is, will it work? The committee chair, Julius Melly, inquired why teachers have to pay 100 shillings before getting treatment, yet they are covered.
It's logic of the cover. And actually, that is also what the People Daily has there. That the committee was wondering, because it emerged, as you rightfully said, that they're required to pay 100 shillings whenever they seek medical attention.
Yeah.
So then you'd wonder, if that's the case, then why would you need
the medical cover?
And it's also, Ram, this is coming at a time whereby there had been proposal to increase NHIF contributions, particularly for those who are earning 100,000 and above. Remember, as you talk, NSSF is already increased there.
It's already increased.
We moved away from the 200 shillings flat rate.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about 6% of your basic salary is what is supposed to be going to NSSF contribution. And even as that is happening, there's still concerns around protection of this fund into this institution. Because if you hear the Education Committee in Parliament probing the Teacher Service Commission to explain some of this extra, I would call them a bit extra contributions.
Including the promotion of teachers itself.
Exactly. And then you would wonder, I mean, if we're already talking about increasing funding and this, because it's for you and I's benefit, it's just for the teachers' benefit. But some of these loopholes, then why don't we just look for better ways of selling them before asking Kenyans to contribute extra? Because again, also when you look at the NSSF, that is the biggest question. You want Kenyans to contribute 6%, aside from the 200, which is the flat rate since 2001. And if you can already pick a bit of loopholes in another institution, similar to the one you are asking Kenyans to increase their contributions, how would Kenyans trust these institutions?
They will not.
How will they trust their monies in this institution?
And you see, sometimes we're just forced into it.
Because you've got really no choice about it.
You have no choice about it.
It's a proposed law, and you have to increase our tax bracket, as you keep saying.
Exactly.
We have to fund our own development projects. We need not to keep borrowing, so then you really have got no much of a choice.
And you see, interestingly,
as a Kenyan,
if you look at this particular story there, yesterday, the members of parliament also questioned a lot of things concerning teachers and the TSC. They also questioned how the existence of an intermediary called Bliss, after it emerged that all referrals must get that all referrals must get its approval. So Bliss must approve all referrals. Why is there an intermediary called Bliss? Now, Lugari Member of Parliament, Nabi Nabwera, asked why all teachers have to go and get a mandatory referral from Bliss hospitals before seeking treatment from other hospitals. Do you need that?
Let's just finish this segment by saying we need to really seal some of these loopholes in some institutions for the sake of Kenyans to actually trust these institutions, because we call these institutions independent, and so just by the mandate and also as enshrined in the Constitution, they indeed have to be independent as is, and ensure Kenyans can actually trust them at the end of the day. But also, it's a good place for us to finish this segment, Ram.
Right.
Yes.
And of course, these are just some of the stories that are making headlines on this fine Wednesday morning. We had the People Daily, the Star newspaper, the Standard, and the Daily Nation right here on In the Headlines.
Yeah, we take a very quick breather. We circle back with women at the forefront. We talk about the children's protection rights. We look at what various organizations are doing, at least to assist the state as far as that children's bill was assented to law by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. What are they doing in their own capacity as organization to assist the state in that regard? This is coming up after this breather. Stay with us.
This is Melena's earring, and you will explain to me what the heck Melena's earring is doing in your house and exactly how it got here.
What's the matter, Oligario?
Can't I go out to the garden?
I didn't say that.
They made you believe something that wasn't true to hurt me. Let me take a wild guess who did it. Fabiola.
And Mrs. Molena? She must be as beautiful as always, right?
Oh, great, you found it. I'm really happy, Fabiola. I thought I had lost it.
Now explain to me what that piece of trash was doing in Alonso's house.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wamekama up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free. What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea Studio Mashinani huko Comarox, Langata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga, Kitui next to Manyanyoni Chiefs Camp na Kisumu City wako hapo KBC station. Usilalie talent. This is your chance to commercialize and popularize your talent through Studio Mashinani.
Welcome back to the program. Time for our first conversation this Wednesday morning. We look at what various organizations are doing in their capacity as far as children's rights protection is concerned, and this is informed by that particular bill which was assented to law by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. That is the Children's Act of 2021, which was assented into law in July 6th of 2022. I'm holding court with Mary Muhaki to my far right, who's the founder, Smiley Child Organization, and also Don Felix Ochieng, who's the research and partnership lead at the same organization. Lady and gent, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You are
so
smiling.
much.
We are ready. You're prepared. Tuanze na wewe.
Yes.
Now, just before we go to the nitty-gritties of even the bill and the whole protection rights of children, just very quickly, talk to me about Smile Child Organization.
Smile Child is a
now this is why you're smiling.
Organization.
Okay,
We are a children's rights and welfare organization with operations in Kiambu County and Nairobi County. So how did we start? We are a group of friends who just love children, and we started reaching out to children in campus. So with time, we saw the need of starting an organization, and in this case, Smile Child Organization. It wasn't even an organization, it was Smile Child Initiative.
Okay.
To see the orphaned. But with time we realized there's more than just visiting children in homes. There are children everywhere, not necessarily children in the orphanages, yeah? So we started increasing our operations to high schools, to parents, to youth, and now even to now children in different capacities.
Okay.
So perhaps I'll get a chance to also explain the different activities, but in a nutshell, that's who we are.
Definitely, you will. Now I see why you're all smiles. I mean, just the name of the organization.
Thank you.
All right, so Mary says that this was a group of friends, Don, a group of friends coming together with the main cause of just looking how best to assist children, and this spans across Nairobi. It actually goes beyond. Talk to me about why this was very pertinent for you. What are these gaps that you saw as far as just protecting children's rights is concerned that made you be part of this?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Thank you so much for having us here today.
Yeah.
And okay, so one of the things that informed that is that you see most of the problems is always good to really deal with them from the grassroots level. So you see, we thought that what is the best way to deal with issues that are affecting the society. We decided that if children are brought up in a very nice way, if they're given a very good environment, they'll grow up to be very responsible people, and they'll be in the best environment that can bring the best out of them when they're adults. So that's why we decided to focus with the children, so that we can start from the ground level up as we go. Yes.
So as a researcher, what basically is your role?
Okay, thank you. As a researcher, generally, okay, actually at first we didn't even have the research segment of Smile Child. Yes, it came because of the needs. We decided that, you know, most of the times when you come up with policies, or when you come up with the initiatives you want to do, it's good that they're like evidence informed. So we decided to have a research segment so that we can all go to the grassroots level. We do our research, we collect our data, so that when we come, the decisions that we make that will impact on the children are evidence informed. So that's why we have so that's basically what I do. Yes.
Going to the grassroots level,
yes.
You really have to get data from the root cause that will also inform what exactly you're doing.
Yes.
But when was this formed, Mary, and what kind of impact have you seen so far? Because when you look at children's issues, much as we have this law in place, there's still quite a lot to be discussed and conversed around children's rights. Yeah.
Wow, that's a beautiful concern you have right there. So it started in 2016. In 2016 to Smile Child Initiative. In 2018, we officially registered to Smile Child Organization. So what informed our decision and how we've reached this far is by talking about what we do. Like even here, we are here to spread awareness about how we as adults should let children be children. That's one of the policies we drive it. We say our role as adults is to protect children. A child shouldn't be sitting anywhere worried, what am I going to eat next? Am I safe in my environment? That is our responsibility as adults. So as Smile Child, we are thinking, we are dealing with children, but who are in charge of these children? Parents. So we started doing capacity building for parents. How do you parent? How do you become a good parent? How do you establish a relationship with your child so that, for example, worst come to worst, they're abused, they're able to communicate that to you. So apart from parents, who are we also targeting in the society? Youths like us. You know, youths, we have a lot of energy, we are vibrant, you know, and children are also very vibrant. So we said we are the people who are supposed to be interacting with children. You should see us in children's homes playing like kids. We say dress casual in your Smile Child t-shirt, maybe tights and pants, sports shoes, no heels, no nothing. It's the day of working, no makeup. No, you come as you are. We call it kwenda shamba. Yeah? So that informed our decision of just taking initiative as youth. Currently, we are around 229 youth volunteers who are just focused on making the world a better place and changing the world a smile at a time.
You did say that let children be children.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Let children be children, because I like asking people, remember yourself as a child. What did you know? Nothing apart from I want to go to play, I'm hungry, I don't want to go to school. You're not thinking so much, am I safe in my environment? I'm scared of passing that road, you see. So that is the happiness we want to restore in children. Like, let children worry about those small things about school, sleep, food, what time am I going to eat, but there's food on the table. But as adults, it's our responsibility to evaluate the environment where they're growing up. Because as Don, maybe he'll address it, we did research on the risks children face in the upbringing environment, and that is where as adults we come in.
I hear you, and of course we'll come with Don in a bit with that, but for now we want to cross over to Trans Nzoia County, where our very own Victor Olo is there. He is engaging the governor of Trans Nzoia, that is Governor George Natembeya. Victor, over to you.
All right, good morning, and it's now 8 on the dot, and we're coming to you live from Trans Nzoia County. Of course, this is Good Morning Kenya. The transition moving from Nairobi, the capital city, to the food basket of Kenya. How is it going to be? We are coming to you live from Kitale, and of course, we've been waiting for that interview with the host governor, George Natembeya. We'll be talking about matters that pertains people of Trans Nzoia in general, and any other question that you'd want him to answer. He's here for the next 1 hour. Governor? It's a chilly morning here in Trans Nzoia. We've been here for the last 1 hour, and we're freezing, literally.
But the weather will change. The course of the day it's going to become very hot.
How is it transitioning from the administrative wing of government now to this other side? Here they call you. Yes, sir. Afandi, sir. Yes, soldier. That's how you hear what they call you. How is it that transition from the other side of the administration to governance?
With the transition, right. Given that basically the work is the same, only that now the work is linked with a lot of politics.
Yes.
But of course, you interact with the people with the people more, and the interaction is a bit more informal.
Yes.
And I think I like it. I like it that way.
Yeah.
And of course, we embarked on people directly. As a governor, you can make a decision and implement it without necessarily consulting too many people. I think that's the difference.
You have just clocked almost 156 days in office. How is it so far for you?
But I think the main challenge has been the formation of government. I think when we say that we'll be doing this and that in 9 days, basically what we should be saying that we'll be forming government within those days, because the process is long, it's tedious, a lot of interviews, approvals by the county assembly. It takes a bit of time. Actually, we lose almost 3 months just doing nothing but forming government. But because we know what we are supposed to do, after forming government, we've embarked on the business of running the affairs of Trans Nzoia County. So far, so good. We formed the government smoothly. Of course, there were a few hiccups here and there. Some people went to court to challenge the appointment of chief officers. It took us another maybe 1.5 months delay, but we overcame that. Now everything's running smoothly. We have got senior officers in place. The CCs are in place. The county secretary is in place, and also chief officers are in place. So the bureaucracy is basically formed.
Because when we look at most of the counties are still grappling with the formation of their government. But based on what you have in the previous administration, did you transit the people from the previous administration to your government right now? Some officers from the previous administration.
Government and the bureaucracy. The people who were employed and they'll be in government until they retire at the age of 60. That's a permanent bureaucracy. From director level and below, they're basically intact. Of course, we still have issues because some departments are not very fully staffed. The people normally who exist with the governor are the county executive committee members, the county ministers. That one, their terms are tied with the term of the governor, and also the chief officers. Their terms end almost after the exit of the governor, just for purpose of managing the transition. So basically, many of the officers who are currently serving the county government of Trans Nzoia even were inherited from the previous one, from even the local authorities, right there, the municipal council and the county councils. But one good thing with the public official civil servants is that when new admission comes in, you look at its agenda, then you change immediately. So we don't really have issues. And of course, they're given guidance by the chief officers and the CCs to align themselves with the current priorities of the current government.
You didn't have any opposition? You didn't have any opposition while you were forming a government?
The county assembly was very cooperative. They cooperated with us because they have to approve the names of the CECs and also the chief officers. And as I said from the beginning, we had a few people who went to court. They were arguing about regional balance of the chief of nominees. But you look at my list, really, there was no issue. Compared with the previous regime, I tried as much as possible to ensure that we have a very inclusive government. Trans Nzoia being what it is, very cosmopolitan. We tried as much as possible to have all communities included in the government. Of course, Trans Nzoia has got so many communities. Almost every community in Kenya resides here, so it's not possible to fit all of them in 10 positions. But we tried as much as possible to ensure that we have got the disabled there, that the women are properly represented. All ethnic communities, especially the major ones and even the marginalized ones, are well represented. And we were still forming government, even though we got to the right director level, we'll ensure that those who did not get opportunity at the CEC's chief officer level, that get opportunity at the director level and other available opportunities within government.
Governor, it's you are serving your first term as a governor of Trans Nzoia County. So let's start where we should. What is your development agenda?
My agenda is big. First of all, I appreciate the fact that as a county, we did not do very well in the formative years of devolution. The first 10 years we didn't do very well. Therefore, the place where we are starting is not the place where the other counties are.
Yes, it's a continuous process.
Yeah, so we're a bit behind. So we are focusing majorly on things that directly affect our people. We want to go big on agriculture. In terms of just improving productivity. Trans Nzoia has been known as Kenya's breadbasket. But now for the longest time now, we even have food insecurity within Trans Nzoia. There are so many people who cannot even afford 3 meals in a day. So we want to go back. We have identified the challenges, why production even of maize has gone down. Our soils are sick and our farmers aren't getting adequate inputs. So we want to focus more on agriculture, ensure increase productivity and add value even to what we are producing. So we don't have any industry, proper industry that can add value even to the maize that we produce. We also want to go heavy on health. Currently, our health situation in Trans Nzoia is actually sick. Is very unhealthy. All our level,
That's a good one. That's a good one.
All our level 4 so were upgraded to health centers because of the poor quality of services they were rendering to the people. We've been putting up a referral hospital that has taken about 7 years. Gobble about 1.7, 2 billion shillings. That's not even complete. So you'll find our people going to Eldoret to seek for medical care, and we are saying we're not going to congest other people's hospitals with the capacity of building our own. Our infrastructure is very bad, and instead the first one of agriculture, we were producing maize, but farmers can't reach the market. Actually, during the campaigns is when I really appreciated the poor state of our roads network in the county. Of course, we started working on those. The others that are the responsibility of the national government, the KERA, KURA, and KENHA, we began that conversation with the national government agencies to ensure that they also come in and assist us. Of course, education is another key plank in my administration. We've done our math and it's not adding up. Our children are not passing exams. Like the last KCP, less than 500 got more than 350 marks.
And that is a big worry, Governor.
It's worrying. Less than 5,000 got above 250 marks. In a county that used to be number 1 in Kenya, at the formative stages of KCP, actually Trans Nzoia used to be number 1 in Kenya.
Does that worry you? Because education has been, part of it has been devolved.
What is devolved is just ECD, the basic, what you call nursery. But we, as government, have got an interest also in knowing what's happening in my primary and secondary schools. Nobody's going to tell me that's the responsibility of the national government. Those are my children. They're our children of Trans Nzoia. I want to find out what's really happening. Because if we cannot check, then we're not going to have a proper manpower in the future. And then if kids have not even completed basic education, which is actually from ECD to Form 4, we're still grappling with that. So I want to sort that out. We find what challenges are there. Even the issues of serving, of course, we'll pick it up with the TSC to ensure that we have got enough teachers. It's a matter of infrastructure. We're going to liaise with the Ministry of Education and see how we're going to collaborate, even just to ensure that we have got classes. We've resolved as a county to pay fees for all our children who got more than 250 marks that have been admitted to day schools, and they come from needy families. We are going to pay fees from Form 1 up to Form 4. Again, we set aside about 120 million shillings this financial year, and we'll be doing that every year. By the time we're doing our 4th year, we'll have set aside about 400 million just to sort out this problem. Then, of course, the issue of water. Trans Nzoia being a county with 2 water towers. We're lucky. We have Cherangani Hills, we have got Mount Elgon, but we still suffer water shortages here. People are drinking dirty water. Water is not even available. We are going to go heavy on boreholes and even working with the national government agencies to ensure that we even have mega projects that will have water collected from all these water towers and have it distributed to our people. Then, of course, finally, the issue of environment. We've been part and parcel of destroying the environment. Our people are very good in terms of planting trees, conserving the environment. But I think at some point, when the national government lost it, we also lost it. So we are going back. And I want to agree with the president that we plant very many trees. Talking about 15 billion, we are going to do our part, ensuring that during the planting season, we plant as many seedlings as possible. So those are some of the key issues that we want to address, including, of course, giving our facelift to our town here. It's not doing very well. We are just waiting a bit for these roads to be complete, and then now we come in and do a bit of landscaping and beautifying our town.
Governor, when you talked about your 10-point agenda, which is quite close to your heart, and the people of Trans Nzoia are going to look up to you, whether you're going to achieve them or not, because at the end of the day, you must get your report card after 5 years. But then, one thing which is quite important, the expansion of Kitale or Trans Nzoia as it is, there is that bit of lack of enough space for the town to expand. And what are you going to do about it? Because, you need enough space to operate. Kitale is now the headquarter of Trans Nzoia County. Yes.
Kitale is surrounded by public utilities. The national government has got a lot of land within Trans Nzoia and within Kitale. Actually, the town is surrounded by public utilities. We have KFS there. We have the showground there. We have the museum, but the museum is now coming back to the county government. We have Calro. We have KFS. We have the prison, the medium prison. We have started negotiating with the national government, starting with the prison land, which is about 160 acres, so that we have it for purpose of opening up the town. The political leadership has goodwill, but the bureaucrats are funny people. People don't appreciate anything. They're not practical at all. You want to talk to somebody. Like now, we have a forest inside the Kitale town. Forest that is not even properly forested. You only see trees along the road, but inside there, there are not trees. We want to agree with them. They give us part of that land, even if we just want to do nature trails there. We don't want to. Me personally, I'm good in conserving the environment. We will not destroy your mazingira. So we want to have some of those parcels of land given to the national government for purpose of growing our town. There's great potential for Kitale to grow even to do a big metropolis if the national government will cooperate. I'm happy because the president himself has shown a lot of willingness, and I think the rest of the bureaucracy will follow suit, so that we don't fight about this. It's not personal. When you say get us land to do this kind of developments, we don't bring in other arguments that really don't add value. Kitale already has 4 prisons. Why do we need 4 prisons in Kitale town? Why do we need 4 prisons? Maybe somebody will tell you, we are closing, we are going to take prisoners.
Yes.
They'll be telling us other prisons. What we should be doing is construct even more facilities, because the facilities that the prisons are using now were constructed during the colonial days. That basically ran down.
Discussion with these on the negotiations, because you need room to expand. Governor.
Of course, we stopped. A team has been sent from the Department of Correctional Services. They were here last week. I'll be having a meeting tomorrow with the principal secretary herself. She's coming around, and I'm hoping to have very fruitful engagements with her so that we can agree on the way forward. Not whether or not the land is going to be ceded, because I think that there's already a presidential directive to that effect that we are going to give the land to the county government of Trans Nzoia. So when she comes tomorrow, we're going to discuss the how. Yeah.
And the issue of land for expansion has been a thorn in the flesh for a very, very long time. Are you sure you are going to achieve this time around?
Because there's political will and there's justification. Well, if you don't get that land,
yes.
Yeah.
Where were the bottlenecks before?
As I said, there was just lack of willingness. People just saying no. You know, without
no apparent
without any reason. Because why you want to say no? And then they don't want to cede the land to the county government, but they are happy. You know, they do that nothing when that land is grabbed. Because from where I sit, I know that the acreage of that land has reduced from 159 acres to about 117. But for me, I'm going to for the entire 159 acres, because that land was not available for allocation to anybody. So people have been grabbing it, every year, every time they grab it and reducing that one. They should be ready. They should be ready to move out the moment the national government cedes the land to us. So these bureaucrats who are completely uncooperative, how come when the land is being grabbed, they're very cooperative with the grabbers who want to use it for private use, but when the government comes in and wants to use it for public good, there are so many obstacles. Yeah. But on this one, I think because we have the support of the president, I don't think we're going to have any serious challenges in terms of having it.
Let me take you back to your administration. Now. Trans Nzoia County is cosmopolitan. We have got several people coming from, the Sabaot is here, the Kisses. It's almost every Kenya is represented here. How did you balance that when you're forming your county government?
Trans Nzoia is cosmopolitan, but of course we went with competence,
yes,
and capability. And one good thing is that this competence is found in all communities. You cannot say that maybe you left out a particular community because we didn't find anybody competent in there. So competence was first, and one good thing is that every community has got competent people. So we tried as much as possible to balance all these communities. And as I said from the outset, that it's not possible to have all the 45 communities accommodated within 10 positions. Yeah, it's not possible. But the way we have done it, I think the general people are satisfied. Of course, previously you'll get almost 95% of the appointments coming from the dominant community. But now, of course, we did our percentages in terms of community representation within the county, and gave them positions accordingly in a very equitable manner.
Yes.
And also ensuring that even the small ones, they may not have the numbers, also are accommodated, because minorities must be taken care of. It's a principle of our constitution.
Yeah.
We can't ignore that, and that's why we didn't see a lot of noise. Even those who went to court, these are just opportunistic fellows who go to court and then they want to negotiate with you that I went to court, but if you give me 3 million shillings, I can always withdraw this matter. But we told them we're not going to discuss anything with extortionists.
Yeah.
We refused that, and the court even agreed with us that this matter was done well.
Let me take you back. You formed a government when there's a complete transition from the last regime to the new regime. And as governors, you had a meeting. You've been busy sitting, IBEC, having the supplementary budgets here and there, forming the formation of the government. How has it been for you running a government with limited resources? Yes.
Is the elephant in the room, because since we assumed office in August, I've only received 2 disbursements. We're supposed to get monthly disbursements. Actually, by the 5th of every month,
yes,
we're supposed to get money from the treasury.
That is for the treasury.
Our allocation of national revenue is supposed to come monthly. I've only received twice, for September and for October. And even for October, I think I just received for about 3.
And most of the county governments have been complaining they've not received their money.
October. So November, December, January, this February, almost 4 months, no disbursements.
Okay.
How do you run government like that? Sometimes when we get commercial loans to pay, to pay salaries. So I think the treasury must up its game. From where we sit, some of us believe that some national government institutions are hell-bent on just ensuring that devolution doesn't
How much
work.
have you received the two disbursements?
I guess about 1.2 billion, because we get about 600 million per disbursement. About 600 million per disbursement.
And what you get from the national government? From the national government, the total revenue for annual revenue?
The whole year is about 7 billion. Which again we share with, of course, with the county assembly. What the share of the county assembly comes to the executive.
Yes.
So it's just about 7-point-something billion. But the figure can go up to 9 billion because we still have carryovers. You know, that like this year, I'm pretty sure we will not be able to absorb all the funds because the national government has already delayed. And the challenge is when they do their reports, that the control of budget will do a report maybe in July. They said that counties are incapable of absorbing funds. How do you absorb funds that you don't have? 4 months have not received any funds. It means it's going to be carried over to the next financial year. Yeah. So if you factor in the carryovers, per year we should be getting about 9 billion.
Against your total revenue collection per county?
Our total revenue collection is not, we're not doing very well because of the issue challenges. The structures have not been very good, but we're putting in place measures to ensure that we collect revenue. Actually, the Transvaal has just been collecting about 18% of the total collectible revenue for potential, just about 18%. Yeah, but we want to move that. If we can be able to collect about 1 billion in the financial year, then we can do so many other things. And I know the potential here. So we're doing a bit of restructuring, of course, in liaison with the relevant officer, getting support to ensure that every collectible revenue is actually collected. And we are calling upon even our people of Transvaal to come out very strongly and pay tax. They should not engage in some funny games with some of our officers who collect revenue. And that's why even very soon we are going to complete digitization. We don't want our officers to interact anywhere with cash.
Governor, let me take you back to that aspect of, you are forming a government and you have got pending bills. How much did you borrow or did you carry from the last regime? And how much you cleared so far?
The assumption of office committee was talking about just about 600 million. Reports from the Auditor and Controller General were giving a different figure, about 1.2 billion. And that's why we formed a task force, just to delve into this problem and we get the exact position where we are. And during this period, it's now about 2 months, we expect to have this report by Friday this week. That's Kesho Kutwa. Then I'll have to look at it and see the exact position where we are in terms of pending bills. Of course, we made a provision of some amount of money to start paying those eligible bills. Those bills that are supposed to be payable, we're going to pay. The government's not in the business of killing businesses. People who have done work, genuine work, and indeed you can confirm that they were given work legally and they discharged that mandate, they're going to be paid. But there are so many others who believe in Kaz Hewa. You know, you're just given work, you don't do anything, you negotiate with officers here and there, then you are given the money. It's called sharing the loot. They should they're sharing taxpayers' money. So anybody who engaged in those shenanigans, we know we're not going to pay them. But those who did genuine work, they can prove that work was done, are going to pay them. This task force has taken a bit of time because we told them to go out there and actually physically check. Somebody said they did this job, they did this road. Can you go there and confirm that indeed the road was done? Let them show you pictures. This was there before. This was during my work as I was doing this road. And this is the finished product. And you need to confirm that this is the length of the road. It was 5 kilometers and they have actually done 5 kilometers. Then you can say fine. And why are you not paid? Again, we check with even the FME system. Because sometimes money was requisitioned from the control of budget. It was approved to pay those projects. But when the money hit the account, it was diverted to other things, like not even projects, to other things. People somehow misappropriated the money. You say this fellow did this job, but they did not do the job. So you are just paying non-existent people, but in the records, money was at least to pay this. So we also was going to check, because we have looked at some of the vouchers. You call the person who's supposed to have been paid and they say, no, I've not been paid my money. And yet the money was paid. You get one LPO, one LSO has been used to pay different people. We want to streamline and seal all those loopholes that even in the future, we don't have this kind of situation. And from where I sit, with the discipline of the national government, having pending bills is no financial discipline. Because you can only, whatever projects you do must be accommodated within the budget. So having pending bills means that you spend outside the budget. So we just want to have a bit of financial discipline.
Let me quote what the Deputy President said the other day, that, our hands are tied. Whatever you're looking for, the government is not able to offer you. What was the final agreement between you and the national government as governors in terms of disbursement?
It's not the responsibility of the national government to give us money. It's not a favor. CRA, Commission on Revenue Allocation, shares national revenue between the national government and the county government. It's not that appears one level of government is especially begging the other level for money, and the formula is known. The Constitution talked about at least 15%. That one is the baseline. We began with that one. Let us get that 15% first. Isn't it?
Yes.
Then now, looking at the demands and the kind of services we are offering, it is 70% to 50% of the share revenue adequate. Now let's look at the national government. What the national government doing with this 85% of that is retaining? There are so many other functions that are supposed to be devolved that are still with the national government. Go to the Ministry of Health. So many things that are supposed to be developed in the national government. Go to agriculture. Even this agricultural subsidy thing is supposed to be with the county government. So we are saying, give us all those things. But you give those functions, let the functions be followed by funds. Don't just give us functions, then you retain the money. Look at Kara. Kara is doing so many roads that are supposed to be county roads.
Yes.
Yeah. So when the county governments made a noise, they bundled the function. They released so many roads, but retained the money. So that's the problem. Yeah, the agency retained the money, but then they released the roads. So we are saying, you give us the function, even ECD, early childhood development. The national government was paying these teachers. But we told them this is a government function, so they released it, and then they retained the money. So we are saying, please, let the money follow functions. Yeah. So the CRA, their figures 407 billion. County governments are talking about 425 billion. We just want to reconcile figures. What functions are going to be unbundled, and how much money are these functions coming with the counties?
Part of the recommendation from the COG.
That's what we are. The president, and you will not hear any noise about this thing because it was very practical, very objective. We just unbundle, get the funds, let the funds go to the counties. We are going to get our 425 billion.
Okay. Okay. So when are you likely, as a county government, likely to get the first disbursement?
It's not even the first disbursement. Now, as I said, money is already, because now the financial year is already running, isn't it? What we are talking about now is for the next financial year.
Yes.
That's from July. And from July, the next financial year, 2023-2024, we are looking at 425 billion. Currently, we are talking about 370 billion that the county has been receiving for the last 3 years. The national revenue has been growing, increasing, but the allocation to the county government has remained the same, constant. Is that logical? Is that reasonable? So if national, we're now talking about a 3 trillion budget,
yes,
isn't it? But the national government, the government is just getting 370 billion. But when you look at the functions that were devolved, these are the functions that touch the common man more.
Yeah.
And we know the national government has got an interest, because these are the same people who elected the president. He has got an interest to know that they're getting these services. So we are just saying, let us not squabble about these things. This money going to the county, it's not going to the pockets of governors.
Yeah.
It's not going to serve the Kenyans. The president appreciates that. And we believe that the people who work on these figures, guys from the treasury, from the control of the budget, CRA, should be able now even to look at the position of the president himself. Does he want to frustrate and fail devolution, or he wants to make sure that devolution works? I think he wants to make devolution work. Yeah.
All right. Governor, when you look in front of us here, we all consume this. But are you priding yourself that you belong to where this maize come from? Because correctly put, is the bread basket of Kenya. We all know it. But as it is, Does it still pride itself as the breadbasket of Kenya?
We feed the nation, but the nation doesn't appreciate us. When you go to other countries, a country like this one that produces maize, and maize is staple food in this country, we should take an interest in knowing how our people are. The people who produce food for this country, are they happy? Our people aren't happy. One, because the cost of inputs is very high. Last year, we bought a bag of 50 kilogram bag of DAP at almost 7,000 shillings. Yeah, nobody cared about the farmer. At the end of the year, when you're producing this maize and selling, there's so many brokers. The market is not there. At the same time, our borders are opened and there's a maize glut. So you're spending too much. During harvest, you want to sell, the market is flooded by imports. You don't have a good price for your crop. Then we've got a lot of post-harvest losses. And you look at, I associated the poverty, the high-level poverty in Trans Nzoia with this. With this one? Yeah. Yes. We are obsessed with growing maize.
Can give the paradox of a rich county but living in poverty.
Yes, exactly. But now we want to change this. That this maize now must impact positively on the farmer. And that's why we want to thank even the president, first of all, for subsidizing the cost of fertilizer. And I want to believe that we're going to get sufficient amounts of fertilizer for our farmers. As a county government, also want to provide good seed to the farmers. We're going to subsidize it and even give free seed to some of our farmers. We just want to ensure that at the household level, there is food security. First of all, let just our farmers be assured that for 12 months, they're producing maize. For everybody else, they also have food. Well, at the end of the day, you look at this as a staple food for you as a consumer. That farmer looks at this thing as a cash crop also. Yeah, they are supposed to get money from this, but are they getting money from this? That's what, as a county government, we want to address. And even the issue of marketing our crop and ensuring that we eliminate these people who are called brokers. People who don't know how maize is produced, but they reap the most from it. We're going to get them from the value chain. So that will do that this maize pays our farmer correctly.
Because when you look at this one, Governor, at the end of the day, quite important. Yesterday you were talking about subsidized fertilizer. You are going to supply and give farmers. What is the level of supply right now to the farmers?
We have about 103,000 farmers who have applied. If you go at the rate of maybe $2 per farm, of course we'll know the quantity that every farmer has applied for. Once we get the figures from NCPB, the people who are distributing the fertilizer now. But of course, a bit centralized, and as a county government, we've said that we're going to make logistic arrangements to ensure that this fertilizer reaches the farmers and they are almost close to their farms. So I will know the actual quantities once I get the record and know that how many bags did individual farmers apply for? Yeah, okay. And how many they are going to have? They have been allocated, because you can apply for 30 bags and you're given 3. So that means that when you applied for 30, you're going to get 30. Because I know the demand is also very high. But I want to believe that we're going to get sufficient amount of fertilizer, because if you don't get sufficient amount of fertilizer again, it will not make any difference.
You know somebody can term you, Governor, as a redemption governor right now, because at the end of the day, when you look at maize, you must be having a lot of work to make sure that you bring back the lost glory of Kitale and Trans Nzoia in general. Are you quite optimistic that you're going to achieve this?
Yes. So we're going to change. The fertilizer that we've been using has acidified our soils. Yes. But farmers are a bit too obsessed with it. But so far we've done enough to ensure that they change. They change that attitude. And I'm here this year they're going to embrace a different kind of fertilizer completely. And actually we've told the national government that when you supply fertilizer to Trans Nzoia, do not supply this fertilizer. And the other day the president actually confirmed that they're not supplying that kind of fertilizer because they know that it has made our soil sick. Isn't it? We're going to assist farmers with seed, as I've said. And the third and most importantly, we're going to increase the number of extension officers so that the journey with the farmer as used to be in the past. Yeah, that the farmer has got somebody who is technically competent, who is going to work with the farmer right from the breaking of the soil all the way to harvesting. And we're going to improve. Like last year we had just about 4.8 million bags of maize. We want to double that figure this year.
Okay. Okay. coming to a close, are you sure, or are you optimistic that whatever is going to happen, the North Rift, the soldiers are already there, the KDF is there? From your own analysis, we've talked about this over again, you've talked about it, but from your own analysis, do you think it's going to bear some fruit at the end of the day, the insecurity in the North Rift?
But at the operational level, I think it can be done better. I looked at the section of the law that was used to deploy the military is a bit limiting. Because it talks about the military coming to support civilian authorities.
Yes.
It's a bit limiting because whoever will be now doing the lead will be the civilian policing service. That's the National Police Service. It will be at the front, and the military will be providing backup. But for me, from where I sit, I think the military should provide backup. And there's a relevant section of the law that can be used to do that, where this proposal is taken to the National Assembly, is discussed, and then approval is given for the deployment of the military. The military are very good when they work alone.
Yes.
So they move in. Actually, that work they can do it within 1 month. There's nothing there.
Anything that happened in Mount Elgon, you remember?
1 month. It will be done. Then now there's other civilian police agencies can now come in and sanitize the place and just ensure that the gains are not lost. That status quo is maintained, that we've gotten out the bandits, we've recovered all the firearms. We start the process of building the infrastructure of that place, ensuring that this remoteness is removed. Let us have some schools, some hospitals, water in those areas.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you say that the military is going to support, from where I sit, you're going to have a lot of blame games. You needed this to give you, but you didn't do that. What other thing are we supposed to do? And the police cannot command the military. Yeah, okay. but the military can't command the police. So I think that needs to be looked at, because the kind of scenario that's being created now, we tried it. We were given this military for about 10 days. It did not work very well. But the military must take charge of this thing.
They have to take complete control.
They've moved in. They've done whatever they have to do. That the police now just moved for purpose of mop up, and we'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Quickly. Some hotspots areas they should concentrate on.
The 6 counties of the North Rift that are disturbed. We need to have adequate focus on them, starting from Samburu, Laikipia, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, and Turkana.
Turkana. Governor, finally, what do you do during your free time? Do you have free time? Do you play guitar?
During my free time, I sleep. My free time
people say that you're ever serious. Do you have a time that you always have time to relax and say, now this is me?
I go to the office at 7. I leave the office sometimes at 10 p.m. So my only free time is when I'm sleeping.
Come on, Governor. You can't say that you don't have time for yourself. Okay. Thank you so much. I really didn't want to dwell on that matter of insecurity in the North Rift, because it's something that's been talked about. Of course, we're just waiting to see how it's going to progress, and we leave the rest to the security agents. And of course, the government has taken it over. So let's.
Well, thanks for me. I was just sharing my experience when I was the regional commissioner, and I thought it was important for people to understand these things, the dynamics that's happening there. And I think so far the government is acquitting itself well. The area is going to be pacified.
Please do something about sport. Please do something about sports and talent.
We are doing groundbreaking on 23rd for our international stadium.
Do that.
We want to do a very good.
I want the next interview should happen.
Yeah, get here after 2 months and you'll see what we'll be doing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much. That has been George Natembeya, the governor of Trans Nzoia County 026, the breadbasket of Kenya. And by the way, they're still fresh. Let me just show you. Why is it that the entire nation is dry, but you have fresh maize, Governor? What are you doing so different? It's fresh. See that one.
God loves Trans Nzoia. We have rain almost throughout the year.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for watching. We're taking you back to Nairobi for our normal programming. This has been the standard version of Good Morning Kenya from Kitale. Thank you, Governor, for being with us. All right. Good morning. My name is Victor Lo. Bye-bye.
Back in studio, we continue our pace with our conversation looking at children's protection right. It is a conversation we had begun earlier on, but we continue with it. I'm still holding court with my guest in studio. That is Mary Mwihaki, who's the founder of Smile Child Organization. Also right at the center there is Don Felix Ochieng, research and partnership lead at the same organization. I just want to pick it up, this conversation with you, Don, where you had left it off.
Yes.
And this is in regards to also part of what you're doing in that space, especially as a researcher. From what you've tracked going outside, what would you say are some of these issues or some of these abuses? Which one is more prevalent? Because we have physical abuse, we have sexual, verbal, emotional, mental. There are really quite a number of them. But what are you gathering?
Okay, the most prominent one is sexual and physical abuse. And to make this matter even worse is that most of the time it happens, the perpetrators are people who are very close to these people, the people they really trust. And that's what makes it even worse in terms of even the impact that they have on the child. Yes.
Sexual and mental abuse is one that is most common.
Yes.
So what are you doing in your capacity, even just as Smile, to at least aid and assist with some of these issues, particularly when you look at sexual and mental abuse? Why, again, is because of the long-term impact this has on a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as I said earlier, that you see, children are children that are under care of people who are adults. So we decided that as we also focus with the children, let's also focus on the caregivers. And that's why we have rolled out a program that we also do capacity building for caregivers, especially in the rehabilitation centers that we're already working with right now, such that they're also in a good mental state that they can guide these children so well, because at the end of the day, that the people who take care of these children. So the much that you can do is really on the people who take care of these children, provide them a safe environment. And these people also should be encouraged, they should also be given some time, and they should also be like, the capacity should be built on such that they're in a good mental state to take care of these children. Yes. So that's what we'll be doing so far.
I hear you. So also a lot being given to caregivers, parents, and the likes.
Yes. That's like the biggest responsibility still go to them at the end of the day. Yes.
I hear you.
Yes.
Mary, you did say earlier that, again, also providing that environment and safe space for children to communicate to you. It could be you as a parent, you as a caregiver. And I hear what Don is saying as far as capacity building is concerned. But what more are you doing? Because you realize also good number of these issues that children face, if at all it's verbal abuse, physical, sexual, mental, they actually stay with them. They don't talk to anyone. There's like no safe space for them to air out, because even children have issues.
Children have issues. Actually, Doreen, that's a very important phase you're talking about, because the mental health of a child is something, as the Africans, we are not really open to it, but as it is right now, we are starting to understand, because normally when you're a child, a parent will tell you, Bono kona stress, you know, like you're a child. What's stressing you? You stay here, you're eating, you're sleeping.
I pay your fees. What's stressing you?
What's stressing you?
You don't hustle.
You don't hustle, you do nothing. You're just here to eat and go to school.
Exactly.
But what people don't understand is the mental well-being of a child. We are a product of how we were as children. I just like giving an analogy of how you were as a child. Ask your parent. I always say, ask your parent, how were you? If I ask my parent, they say I was just talkative from a young age. So these things don't change their personality. And also to celebrate children at the end of the day, because as a parent, it goes beyond providing, but also being a friend to your child. But also as Smile Child, we ask, what if worse comes to worst? And for us children, we're dealing with between the age of 3 to around 18. We are teaching girls how to fight. We are doing self-empowerment defense program.
That's the right word to use.
Because
you teach them how to defend themselves.
It's an element of empowerment.
You know, fight is a big story.
Fight is a big story, but in all honesty, it's part of the principles you're teaching, because you're teaching 5 principles in defending yourself. We're teaching them how to think of situations. Is the situation and environment safe for you? We are teaching them to yell. By yelling, we are teaching them to use their voice. The power of saying no, the power of communicating, I don't want this, because we have been accustomed to an environment where the adult is always right. We are teaching them how to run from situations. In this case, by running, we don't mean just the physical running, but if it counts to physical running, run for your life. But running is how you distance yourself from something you don't want. You say no, you walk away from something. And then when things don't go right in an environment, you find yourself in an abusive space, we're teaching them how to fight. It's an element of self-defense.
Yes.
So in this fighting, because normally it's like, oh, karate. So when I tell people I'm teaching people empowerment, self-defense, they think it's karate.
Yeah.
No, it's not karate. We're teaching vulnerable groups, so it can be both genders, right? Right now we are empowering our boy child in Smile Child to also teach the boys. I am teaching the girls. So what do we teach them? We teach them how to use the little might they have and strategies to defend themselves. But most importantly, we are teaching them how to tell the power of your story. You are never a victim. You have power over your story. So those are the 5 elements that are also empowering the children with. And I feel like this time it's come at an important point in our society.
I hear you. And you did say that the adult is always right. And I so don't agree with you, like literally. Like we
accustomed to that.
Yes, and in culture to believe that the adult is always right. I mean, they're the ones who are teaching you anyway. They're the ones you're living with. But do you think also just from where you see it, and again, this you can borrow from also what you've gathered around as you go about in the different places, counties and areas, so to speak. Do you think this is one of those things that has impeded even us actualizing these children's right? Because our culture, even just as Africans, it's so different from the West. No, the West, a child can actually, they can speak their mind. Here you don't. You don't speak against your father. And you can imagine also can scale down to employment. You can't stand up for yourself in employment.
Exactly.
What would you say in regards to that?
Okay, actually, it's one of our approaches as we try to talk to the caregivers. You see, at the end of the day, we are trying to give a safe space for the children. Actually, it's good you touched on mental health, and we thought that a lot of issues of even in the society, if we can really trace back to what is happening, most of them are related to mental health.
Sure.
And that's why we are trying to engage the caregivers to give safe spaces to these children, such that these children can be free. They can talk freely. Actually, even if you observed, children who are brought up in an environment that are a little bit expressive, they grow up to be very confident people. They grow up to be very confident. They stand up for what they want. They stand up for what they need. Unlike children who are brought up in a space that ni kupigwa tu kila time. You see that kind of culture, the African culture of mama ameingia amepata kitu imeharibika, kifagio ishachukuliwa. You see, yes. There's actually there was this thing that was trending on some of the tools that were being used by our parents. You know, the slippers, the blood, the broom, kifagio, you know, the belt, you know, and actually, even from my own personal experience, I remember there's a time I made a mistake when I was a child, and this time around I was not put down to be caned. My parents just talked to me, and I can tell you it was a turning point. Yes, so dialogue, conversation is the best way to go, and that's what we are really encouraging everyone to adopt. Yes.
You know, actually, for me, our parents, that is the thing they employ. We would have every Sunday is family meeting.
Yes.
And from the firstborn to the lastborn who is in primary, sema yako. What do you think?
Yes.
My mom would even say, what do you think? What would you say I'm doing wrong? What do you think I'm doing wrong? How would I correct it? Yes. And now over time, even in my adult years, I'm realizing it was actually important. It has helped me a lot. Yes. Conversations, dialogue. Yes. Si kuchapwa kila saa.
Yes, exactly.
You also talked about the activities. Just tell me a bit more, and also part of what you're doing to help these children, because you also have children coming from children out of wedlock, for instance. They may not really have that safe space as you described. Some of them may not be having that accessibility to having both parents seeing them, to nurture them, to guide them. How are you helping such kind of children?
I'll start by complimenting your parents. I don't know how African that is. I have never heard of that conversation. So what do you think? Involvement, and see how you've turned out so beautifully. So
thank you.
Kudos to your parents.
God bless them.
And weird how you realize after you've grown up, that was a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. So the activities we are involved in, we understand that environments are different. So that's one of the things we are also aware of as Smile Child organization. We don't have a specific route we choose. We tailor-make every activity for every situation we come across. So for example, let's say single parents, right? One thing you also have to understand is our parents are hurting. they're also people, they're also humans, and these are things you understand as an adult, right? When you're a child, you're like, Mom likes beating me so much. But at the end of the day, they're also dealing with something externally. So for us, whether you are in a parental space, maybe two parents, be it you are adopted, be it you are in a children's home, be it you are in a street kid, we are more focused on guardians, like people, we don't say you can only trust your parent, which is also okay, and we advocate for trusting parents. But as you grow up, there are also these important people in your life. It could be a relative, it could be someone. But most importantly, we are teaching parents that you have to heal first. If you want to raise a child, you have to deal with your issues first, so that you don't project your fears, your insecurities to a child. So part of that is, we were doing initially, as I said, we've just been doing maybe visiting children, but we realized these children, there's something wrong, and it starts at home with the parents. So that's why at this time we're doing capacity building for parents. Sometimes you call parents, they are struggling economically. Someone will tell you, why would I come and listen to you? How much will you pay me for the time I'm losing, you see? So those are the challenges, but with time I know.
How do you deal with that?
How do you deal with that?
Just imagine, because of the high cost of living.
Yes.
I would even tell you, why would I come and listen to
Exactly. So what we do when we have something to give them, we do. But also with time, we also make them understand the importance of that, because the importance is not seen at that particular point, but you'll see it in your child as they grow up. So as Don was talking about dialogues, I usually say there's no good or bad person. Even maybe someone who's stealing has a family he loves. So when you just tap into someone's heart and communicate to them, trust me, it goes beyond the money, and that's a strategy we have seen.
You've been in different places in the country, I believe.
Yeah, sure.
The different counties you have traversed so far, how has the response been like in regards to the different initiatives? Talk about capacity building, talk about even donating, the items that you do donate to these children, for those that cannot be able to afford some of these basic needs. How has this response been like so far?
Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, so generally, most of the time when you go to the community and ask them for something, and you go back to the same community to check up on them, do like monitoring and evaluation. So our approach as to why we have grown much trust is because when we come, for example, even when we come and collect the data from you, we come back with the data after analyzing it, after coming up with some of the recommendations, we come up and we follow up with you, such that you are part of the journey. You are part of our journey, that in every initiative that we do. So by following up, people can see the impact. They can see, like, but for example, maybe when we came last, maybe some children were a little bit afraid, and maybe they didn't want to speak out. They were not so much confident. But after our involvement with them, in a period of time, there's impact, because these children are now more confident. They can speak, they can talk, and even the caregivers are now even more happier. So I think the biggest approach that is making us, that is enabling us do this, is because we go back and we give the results, and we do a monitoring and evaluation, so that we see from where we started and where we left. Yes.
This looks a lot of resource intensive.
It is.
It is.
Yes.
How do you navigate that? Finances. Why I ask is because you look at a good number of organizations, the idea is always great. It's from the heart.
Exactly.
But sometimes sustaining it, because you see, at the end of the day, it's for the benefit of that section of a community or society, in this case, the children. And like I'm saying, Zola is brilliant, but sometimes sustaining it because of funds, finances, a bit difficult to get donors. How are you doing this? So then you also don't lose on the gains, that have already been made so far.
Already been made so far. Actually, the major challenges that even people are facing at the grassroots level is of course poverty, access, and even access to funds. And I can't lie, our activities are quite resource intensive. And I would say so far it's because of as Miaka had said, we have a group of people. We are about 200, and what we do is moreover we volunteer our resources, we volunteer our skills. Like, for example, my background is in data research and policy. So you see, when I come and volunteer my skills, already we are going a mile. When I volunteer, when I send something like 1,000 bob for our initiative, I'm going far. So to just be honest with you right now, I can say mostly we are just relying on our volunteers to really fund our activities at this venture. So we are just trying to reach out to more partners, and of course we are getting also some more partners where we are partnering with in our activities. But it's a challenge.
Yeah,
it is.
It looks,
Yeah.
because, you know, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And I was just reading, you know, going through basically what you've done, you know, as an organization, looking, was it 229 or is it even more than that, young adults who are volunteering? And I'm just interested in wanting to know, how do you get these young people on board? You know why I ask?
Yes.
It is because when you look at our generation, we keep saying we are this generation that has actually, like you say, your background is in data.
Yeah.
Your background is in some
finance.
You can't imagine. You could be somewhere in a bank deciding, you know, I just want to grow my career and all this. So we are living at a time where our generation does not really want to think about volunteering. And the reason we say is, compared to previous times, we are more educated. We have gone to school more. You have people even at the age of 27 having their masters. Some have worked for a while. So when you say that you're bringing a whole 200 plus young people to volunteer on an initiative that you do not know even when money is going to be coming on board, how do you get them to, like, Don Tapiana Tao? How does this work?
So I know, like, when you say it sounds like that, but in our reality, it's different.
Not. Okay, let me understand then.
Because
what is it?
I'll just say I'm a believer, right? And I believe we all have different grace when it comes to something.
That's very true, first of all.
Yes. One thing I'm really good at, and I know it's my grace, it's seeking people. Like, when I talk to people, they just listen to me. I said Smile Child was not an organization. It started with friends. These were my friends from 2016. You see? So, and then, you know, of course, people come in with different reasons. Someone wants to come in and get a recommendation letter. Someone wants to come in, check what you're doing, do it on themselves, you know. But it's challenging in a way, but one thing we have tried to do is establish a family within ourselves. So it's not about just the children, it's also about us. We are doing team building activities, we are doing end-month family meetings to just stay in touch with each other. How are you faring, and all that. So at the end of the day, you find that people find fulfillment in volunteering, because truth be told, we live busy lifestyles, stressful lifestyles, and sometimes you just need somewhere you can feel like you belong. And that is one thing I have realized with our volunteers. When they feel, and the belonging doesn't come immediately. You also have to be patient as a leader. So also you put strategies in place to see how you can make people belong. But as I can say also, people get so excited about the organization and go and tell their friends come. So Smile Child is friends, friends of friends, friends of friends of friends.
And like that.
It's a chain.
Till 200.
Till 200.
But what you said is very profound, that people have different graces for different things. And as long as your heart is in it, I'm a firm believer, as long as your heart is in it, I'm telling you for sure, you'll do it for free.
For real. You will do it for free.
And maybe if I can just add on
yes.
You see volunteering is something that you see, actually I've realized that in life we can spare time always. We can spare time always. And sometimes you get to a point in life that you realize this life you just didn't come to live for yourself. And you can see the little you can do, the little contribution you can do in the society. Like for me, for example, I don't give all my time to Smile Child, but I think I give around between 7 to 10 hours in a week I give to Smile Child. So you see, this is also one of the ways we encourage people to come in. You really don't have to come full time. You can come with your resources, you can come with your skill, you can come with your time. That 2 hours that you give to us, you don't only give it to us, but the impact you give the society. And then even the fulfillment it gives you as a person, because actually right now I'm reading Ikigai, the Japanese way of life, and that book is really trying to encourage, like, you really have some fulfillment in life. You really have to. You have to give to society to some point. So you give in whatever capacity you can. Yes. You see, most of the time people just think that giving back to society, you have to give to the level of Bill Gates. No, not really. Even just going, talking to even the guys of Wapiki who are a little bit more calm and dealing with the customer. That's already
that's giving back.
Because our mission is make the world a better place, one smile at a time. So yes, whatever uniquely you do, is appreciated.
And nothing beats fulfillment.
And nothing beats fulfillment.
If you're there happy, money in, money not, but you're happy and fulfilled, you realize it does go a long way. And just as you said, we're not here to just live life, make money and go, die buried, now you just live. You need to have purpose. You need to fulfill something.
Doreen, if you were in need for money, we would have left years ago.
A long time. Yes. Let me tell you, I can attest. Story for another day. But let's talk about this children's the children's bill, the act which was now enacted and assented to law by the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. Now it's actually a law, and it seeks to protect children's right. From where you sit as an initiative that largely deals with children, do you think just having a law in place, which is a very good thing because it steps towards the right direction, but do you think having a law in place will equally go a long way, or there's some nitty-gritties here and there that we need to be fixing, some loopholes, tie them, as opposed to just having a blanket law that this is now the children's rights, this is what you need to do as a caregiver. If you don't do this, you are perhaps will be sentenced to jail, or this amount you'll pay. Is there something more to just the law?
There is always something more because we already have the law. Question, how many people are even aware we have the law?
That's the first thing, actually.
So it's just been written down, it's been gazetted, it's a law and all that. But even parents themselves, even maybe a local chief, maybe is not even aware of the laws. So I can say the way we like talking about grassroots. So you can't maybe gazette it and not get to the people who are now the caregivers, the parents, and everybody else. So I would say it involves a lot of involvement with everybody. It has to be a round table conversation from the person you think is not as important to be on the table. Those are the people that make decisions on how a child is raised every day. So I can say, of course, that's a good job to passing the bill, passing the law, but there's more that needs to be done in terms of empowering the grassroots communities to even be aware of those laws. Sometimes ignorance. You don't even, sometimes you don't know what's right and wrong until you're told this is right and this is wrong. So I think it's important for us to really get out there, teach people these things, and we cannot do it as Smile Child alone. Of course, these things, when it comes to CBOs, we are the ones who get it to the grassroots. But I would also say government, it's time to partner with these small CBOs that go, like election times. You will see a politician talking to even Mama Mboga that time.
Even how to mark.
Exactly. Why? They're important because their decision matters and they are the most. In Kenya, people who are living below the poverty line are the most. And they have children. These are the children we are talking about. So we have to include them in the conversation.
You just said that sometimes you may not know what is right or wrong until you've done that, or you're there and then you realize, wait a minute, it was actually wrong.
Yes.
And this reminds me, while I was preparing for this conversation, I actually came across a clause within that particular law that actually says a child who commits an offense while under the age of 14 years shall be presumed not to be culpable of differentiating between right and wrong.
Yes.
Unless the court is satisfied on evidence to the contrary. So it simply means any child under the age of 14, no matter what they do, it does not matter what they do. They will be taken as if this child didn't even know, like they were not aware.
Yes.
Unless the courts decide otherwise. And we just did say, do we even have enough awareness that this actually law exists? Or a child will do something that, according to you, it's a heinous crime, and you say, hata kama ni mtoto.
Yes.
But you realize there's a law that that buzzes in terms of awareness.
And that's why I think there's that part that unless the court
decides otherwise.
Because even when they're enacting the law, they can still understand. There are also those exemptions, because I think there are those things that you're just born and you know what is right and what is wrong.
Exactly.
Yes. So I think that's why there's that clause of, unless the court. But I think it's also trying to also put the children in a way that let them be children, in a way that me as the adult, I'm the one who should be guiding you. Yes. So I think these are the laws that have been put in place, just as Natembea was saying that you give functions should be followed by funds. You see, there's a time I was listening to a Honorable Ruto, the president. By then he was the deputy president, and he was talking that the solutions are there, but the problem is the implementation. So I think each and every day we have conversations, we talk, and the solutions are there with us, but now the implementation is where the challenge is, and to then make matters worse is the sustainability. You know, we should come up with not just solutions, but sustainable solutions. A solution that when we bring back to, they can even carry it forward, like they own it and carry it forward, even without us being there.
Solutions for posterity.
Yes. Such that when we are done with Section A, we are done with Section A, we go to Section B, we will never come back. When we come back, we just come as, you know, we call them stories of change. We only come to collect stories of change, you know, to encourage people to do better.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Well said. You know, you just did say that about implementation, and this reminds me of what we keep saying all the time, that in this country almost everything is legislated.
Yes.
Almost everything is law.
On paper, we say.
So we are never short of ideas, we're never short of legislations, we're never short of enacting, gazetting, assenting laws. Just as you say, the issue is always implementation. And looks like it's a gap that as a country we need to be looking into how we can close it altogether. Just also talk to me as we almost begin to sort of wrap up. How do you do the awareness, creating awareness? Because just as you also said, you know, Mary, that we have the law in place very well, but we need to do something more in between, not just rely on the law. So you realize also there's a bigger aspect of awareness creation. How does this go down?
So when you want to create awareness, one, you have to know what community and why are you creating an awareness.
And tie this with the child abuse.
Yes. One, no parent wants to hear they're abusing their child. You cannot show up on the first day and you're telling parents, so when you do this, you're abusing your child. When you do this, and like, no one will even want to listen to you. So when you create awareness, one thing, the best thing about our country these days, devolution, brought down issues to do with these small groups, youth empowerment, women, boda. They have their own circles and all this. You see,
everything is there.
Everything is there. There's everything. But how to access? These are the people you go to. And then the best thing when you just maybe pinpoint a specific area you want to engage, you have to know who is influential in that place, who is being listened to in that place. So one thing we have learned as an organization is to not go anywhere with a fixated mind. If boda riders are being listened to this place, we are working with them. If it's women in this place, if it's youth in this place, so I think that has been one of our strongholds, to just understand our environment in terms of creating awareness. So we are also an organization that focuses on relationships. That's why I think even Don at some point he talked about, we just don't go once. You know, that's literally what people do. We show up today, Doreen, how are you? Okay, have you gone through this? We take your data, we disappear. But as it is a smile child, we are more, even the first day you will not even know why we are there. You will not know. You might even find out on our 5th session. For example, a literal, we are doing Victorian Girls High School. We do high school empowerment programs. So we have done a whole term with them. Talent show, talking to them, go and find out what you love about yourself. You know, the first day, promise you, when you enter that place, they were all dull. They did not even look like they were interested in listening to us. Do you know, by the second time we are walking in, they're always shouting like, hey, you're back. When we miss out, they are angry, you see? And little do they know that this Thursday they're in school, so they don't know. Tomorrow, they're now going to start to learn some physical skills of defending themselves. So you see, like, it's a process. You establish a rapport, and then you later on address your agenda, and then you build a relationship.
I hear you. And really, we have to cap it at this particular point. Nonetheless, we really do appreciate your time. You know, when we talk about children, there's a lot to talk about children. But we have to really finish at this particular point. Thank you so much for your valued inputs into this conversation.
Thank you.
I've been speaking to Mary Mwihaki, founder Smile Child Organization, to my far right, and also Don Felix Ochieng, who's research and partnership lead at the same organization. What has formed center of our conversation this Wednesday morning is just looking at the children's rights. Of course, this informed by that bill that was assented to law last year. Good place to end this conversation, and ultimately, good morning, Kenya. From me and on behalf of the entire team, we say thank you so much for watching. Till tomorrow, good morning.
you here?
You had an emergency. You ran off and left me. So why are you here?
Terribly sorry. Have you arrived?
Did he get it? Is he okay? Did he eat it?
Not yet.
What do you mean, not yet?
Hey. Do you have any more shampoo at home? I didn't have enough.
What's going on here? Did you sleep here last night?
Of course. How else could I care for you?
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wamekama up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high